Greetings everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Refraction. This time around, we may or may not be in an alternate dimension where it could possibly be that in this alternate dimension her eyes are naturally green, whereas her hair would be at a different length. So I'm willing to guess that this is an alternate dimension and therefore in this one her eyes are naturally green, whereas her hair has changed. So we're going to go with hair. June smiles and spins around a bit, letting her hair bob. Do you like the new cut? At first I was worried it'd be a bit too short, but now I think it's perfect. Exactly, I knew it. This dimension's June's natural eyes are green colour. Don't know why it took me this long to get it to this length. Oh, sorry about that. Ah yeah, it looks good on you. Well, thanks. I try not to show my thoughts on my face. Honestly, it had just been a wild guess. Her hair doesn't look any different than before to me. This is a different timeline. And once again, as I look at her face, I feel like something's slightly off about all this. The appearance of our third group member is thankfully enough to dispel my worried thoughts. Well, for about a second anyway. Then they shoot right back up again. Hey there. Ah, this dimensional pool hasn't got glasses. I always seem to get here later than the two of you. That's because you have the walking speed of a penguin carrying a bag of rocks. So you must have seen that so that you can actually put that remark down, June. You even get out of class earlier than us. Down south, you learn to conserve your energy until you really need it. The sun's too hot to do otherwise. This is just too much. It's such an obvious change from yesterday, but June doesn't even bat an eyelash at the fact that Paul isn't wearing his glasses. It is us that has changed perspective, but we are still with the other original dimension from our perspective. I mean, they're not exactly a subtle facial feature. I'm sure that I'm not misremembering something. Jacqueline, is everything okay? You look a bit pale. Yeah, now that you mention it, she does look pretty sickly, with that sweat on her brow and stuff. Come on, June, no need to be rude about it. My mind has already gone once around the track and onto the second lap of the race. All day I'd been seeing things that didn't make sense to me. Nothing major, just little things here and there. But seeing my best friends look different without any acknowledgement is too much for me. I close my eyes, thinking back on all the small changes I've noticed. The simplest explanation, of course, is that my mind is playing tricks on me. No. Either my eyes are seeing things that aren't there, or my brain is remembering things that aren't true. With no one else collaborating my information, that's the most logical course of reasoning, right? Sheesh. I don't care that it's logical, even though I know that every legitimately insane person thinks this. I can't help but think I'm not crazy. But if I'm not seeing things, then whatever other explanation is there for these unnoticed little differences? Hello? To Jacqueline? That didn't seem to work. Maybe I should try a different planet. Wait, what? Right. Sorry, guys. I was just, thinking about a project I had to get done soon. Don't ruin our time together by thinking about school. Is that the reason we're meeting technically about... Silence! 3 morning classes have made me ravenous. I say we adjourn this meeting and reconvene at a slightly later date in the food court. Motion passed. You've got a really odd impression of how democracy works. Yep. This democracy is warped. This is where most of the students eat while they're on campus. 3 meals a day with a decent selection means that this is the only reason that thousands of unprepared freshmen are still alive right now. The weather's been really nice recently too, so we're able to enjoy the outdoor eating area. The fact that this place doesn't seem to have changed comforts me a tiny bit as we sit down and begin to eat our various meals. By the way, Jacqueline, I think your new dye job looks nice. Hey, I was going to compliment her on it. Then why didn't you? I couldn't think of a right anime reference to go along with it. Is that it? You have to think of an anime reference so that you can compliment someone's looks. June, what are you going on about? Not like I would have gotten the reference anyway. Just putting it out there. I still think you should have made a full dye job on it. I can totally see you're rocking a full green do. Finishing my slice of pizza while June and Paul continue their back and forth banter. It's bizarre how easy it is to slip into a comfortable position with them here. Despite the slightest changes to their outward appearances, both of my friends are acting and talking exactly like they did before. Yeah, universes that are different have minor changes to them, such as just their appearance, but majorly they could have different names, or they were born by different parents, or they have different genders. It's not like I have some kind of hallucination where everything I thought I knew about the world has been reversed. Honestly, that's actually more disturbing. The fewer changes I notice, the more likely it is that the world is just the way it's always been, and I'm the one who's crazy. I have to force myself to hold on to my conviction. Just treat it like a story. Hold on to your gut feeling about the situation and use that to seek out the truth. Oh, that reminds me, I could really use your guys' help this afternoon. I want to run some performance surveys, but I need eyes on multiple screens to do it. What kind of performance surveys? Sorry, June, but I'm already booked for something. Oh, really? Can't you do your sculpture reading some other time? Believe it or not, I have other hobbies besides religion. In fact, I was sort of hoping that you all would come with me and give me your opinions on something. Well, I can't really reschedule either. I've got homework study groups to attend later. Wow, both of you are a lot better than I am. All I have scheduled for this afternoon is a nap. What are you, 5 years old? You only have a few hours every day. You gotta spend them right, like for instance, helping me out with my diagnostics. Alright, but I can't exactly help you both out, so... I blinked several times and rubbed my eyes. It's happening again. The same weird atmosphere that I saw last night. Could this have something to do with the strange little changes in my world? The only connection I can think of is that they both make me feel like something's wrong with my brain. I glance over towards Paul and June, only to notice they're staring sightlessly at me, unmoving. In fact, the entire food court, which has been bustling with both noise and movement, has gone completely still, like a three-dimensional snapshot of a moment in time. This can't just be in my mind, can it? I'm tempted by the idea of walking around this frozen landscape, but my own confusion keeps me rooted to my seat. This reminds me of something. Rintaro Okabe's ability to see into the future? No, it wasn't that. It was a different ability. Something along the lines of being able to predict other timelines or something like that. Anyways, I'm going off track here. Nothing is changing. Nothing is moving. It's been years since I've last watched Steins Gate. What am I supposed to do now? Yesterday had stopped when I made a decision about my hair. Maybe I have to finish the decision I was just making now. And so I do... the romantic, will help Paul out. June certainly doesn't seem happy about my decision. Ugh, alright, I guess it's my fault for just assuming that you guys would be available. Sorry, June. I know you don't have to slow down when you're working on something. Nah, it's cool. Really, I could do it by myself. It just involves a lot more back and forth between the VR set and my laptop than I'd like. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, yeah? June gives us a little wave as she stands up and takes her lunch tray over to the disposal bin. Regardless of which decision we would make, we would be wrong anyways, but right at the same time. Paul turns towards me, mild amount of guilt showing clearly on his face. Really, Jacqueline? You can go and help June if you want. I wasn't trying to inconvenience anyone. You said you wanted our opinion on something, right? I know you wouldn't ask if it wasn't important to you. Paul's face tugs up with a warm smile. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. If you're done with lunch, then follow me. It's a bit of a walk. Nothing like a bit of a walk on a lovely summer's day. Actually, it's not. It's pouring down with rain outside at the moment. For me, geographically anyways. He wasn't kidding about the walk. Paul leads me down several different campus paths. This isn't a part of university I'll visit very often. The buildings that house the journalism-related classrooms are practically on the other side of the campus from here. But Paul seems to know exactly where he's going, and soon he's using a key to unlock an older looking building, which is practically hidden by the much newer construction wrapped around it. I have to blink my eyes a bit to adjust to the alternative form of lighting as I step in. There are lights, of course, but the ceiling is high enough that their strength is strangely diffused and mixed with the light coming in from the windows. The whole thing gives off the aura of a gigantic warehouse. Well, it's probably not too far from the truth now that I think about it. It probably was, in a previous lifetime, a warehouse. It's just been converted so that it can accommodate the needs for university students of this particular curriculum. Our footsteps reverberate back to us on the concrete floor, echoing through the massive single room. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, this room seems to take up practically the whole space of the building. Instead of walls, different areas are marked off by a separation of dangerous-looking physical equipment, full of blades and torches and other stuff I know nothing about. There's enough dust in the air that any source of light dances with little flicks, like a snowstorm. Paul continues to walk with a confidence that betrays his familiarity with this space, and I hurry to keep up with his pace. He stops at a station near the far corner of the building. Obviously, I've no way of telling much difference between them, but I'm guessing that this particular area belongs to him. He flicks on a few light bulbs to illuminate his surroundings. I'm no expert on stuff like this, but given the stacks of pieces of wood around and the number of machines with metal blades I can see, I have a pretty good guess at what he does here. Are these carpentry tools? Well, yeah. Well, most of them anyway. Wow, I had no idea that you were interested in this sort of thing. This can't be something you picked up in your religion major, can it? Nah, this is entirely unrelated. My dad was absolutely crazy for making stuff out of wood when he had the energy. More than half the furniture in our house is his work. That's really impressive. If you can craft your own furniture, then that saves you thousands of pounds, or dollars, or whatever currency it is that you are in. Millions of yen. Since I grew up in that house, I was bound to pick up a few things from the old man. I looked into any handcraft programs the university had to offer when I got here, and it turns out that you can rent space and equipment for a monthly fee. I watched Paul as he runs a hand along the surface of one of the machines. I hadn't noticed until this moment, but the skin on his palm and the underside of his fingers is much rougher and stronger than the skin along the back of his hands. That's really cool. Yeah, because if you do this sort of thing for years, then your fingers gradually become tougher in a way. My dad does diesel injection engineering, and over the years his fingers have really turned into chipolatas more than sausages. The fatness of them. And that's another thing as well, is that they increase in width. That's really cool. Frankly, I don't know what any of this stuff is for. Well, if you look at a blade, it's not exactly going to sew things together, is it? My family's not really well versed in the physical arts. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to ask you to use the equipment, so don't worry about that. Well, that's a relief. But why did you bring me here, Paul? I mean, if you wanted to tell us that you'd like to do the carpentry on the side, you could have just told us before, right? Paul's eyes flick downwards for a moment, and he pulls on the edge of his shirt. Well, it never seemed relevant to conversations, you know. It's sort of just something I do for me, but I do think I need your help with looking at something. I hope you're not about to ask me whether I prefer using a twisted bevel drill or a serrated chair saw, because I can never decide between those two. Paul laughs, walking over to a small side table and picking an object up in his hand. He holds it up to me so I can get a good look at it. And it is. Oh, it's a sculptured cat. Look at it, it's so cute. It seems to be some kind of wooden creature. I sort of have a guess at what it's supposed to be, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. It definitely is a cat. It has the shaping of a cat. I know it's some kind of animal at least, but it's rough enough that the end result could be very different from what I'm picturing. Paul seems to be waiting for me to offer some kind of response to it. Wow, did you make that yourself? Yes, I did. Is it that obvious? He rubs the back of his head, blushing a bit. I thought it might be fun to try and create something a little less functional, a little more ornamental. Yeah, something that you put around the house on the stuff that is functional, like shelves. But I don't really know what I'm doing at this point. I'm sort of just picturing what I want in my mind and then trying to turn the wood into what I'm picturing. Sounds about right. As far as I know, I wouldn't know the place to begin making a carving with all these machines though. I'm actually trying out a new tool for carving, since I'm not that adept with just using a knife yet. Anyway, what do you think? Any suggestions? I glance again at the lump of wood in Paul's hand. I just assumed to not knowing a thing about carpentry and he wants my opinion on it. Sheesh, I can't even tell what the animal's supposed to be. It's a cat. Can you not tell by the shaping of it that it's a cat? Have you not seen cats? Why would we select the bottom option, for goodness sakes? Like, that just is so disheartening after someone poured many hours into something and then you just berate it like that. Like, that's the sort of thing with the internet, is that somebody just spends hours and hours and hours on something and then people just berate it and just crumble it down. It looks really great. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's a good start, but I can't really tell what it's supposed to be. I would never do the third option. Like, even if it's for like the worst possible ending in a game, I would honestly just select it and skip through the text. I could not make that decision myself. Like, I know what it's like to spend hours crafting something and then, well, not people telling me that it sucks, but I wouldn't want people to do that to me. Likewise, I wouldn't do that to other people. I would offer advice, but not say it sucks. Offer up the reasons why it sucks, but don't say that it sucks. It's a good start, but I can't really tell what it's supposed to be. Paul looks down at the creation of his hands, wincing a bit. I was worried you'd say something like that. It's supposed to be a cat of some kind. I thought it was, but I haven't figured out how to use the tools for details without accidentally ruining it in the process. Well, I don't know anything about wood carving, but you're not the first person in history to try and make one of these, right? I guess so. But the first person to make that particular one? I guess so. Maybe I can find someone who's done this before to give me some pointers. Damn it, it's so chest-fallen right now. It would have been a lie to tell him that the figure was perfect the way it was. But it would have also made him happy. I hope that the honesty is worth it in the end. Paul sits down with a wooden object back at the table. Well, anyway, enough about me. What? This is just space, right? What else are we going to talk about? Me? Paul gives me a serious glance. Wait, really? What do you want to talk about me for? I'm feeling fine. Well, I'm sorry if I'm reading this wrong, but you seemed off since we got together at lunch. Like something's bothering you, but you're not sure if you should bring it up. Exactly. Paul is a good listener. I blink, startled. Have I been that obvious about it? Yeah. If you notice your friend is a couple of shades paler, then it really is a sign that something is not right. Either that or Paul is better at reading emotions than I've given him credit for up until now. It's disconcerting. I keep easing into things, feeling like everything is normal. Then I look at Paul's face and notice that the missing glasses, and it all comes rushing back to me. I'm so certain that things are different from yesterday, but when no one else notices the changes, it's impossible to get validation on that. Should I bring the problem up? Is it bothering me? But I haven't even been through a full day of it yet. For all I know, I could wake up tomorrow and everything will be fine again. Everything will be different again. For now, it's probably better if I keep this to myself. No reason to worry and or creep out Paul. It's nothing really. I got a new notebook, but when I woke up today, it wasn't on my dresser. I felt off all day, and I've been trying to see if I could find it around campus. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's got to be like losing a piece of your brain for you, right? Wow, if you haven't been able to find it in any of your usual spots, you should try the Lost and Found. I bet someone found it and sent it in for safekeeping. Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. I'll go in there and check it out soon. That's Paul, always coming up with a useful suggestion for solving my problems, even the problems that don't actually exist. We spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the other sections of the building. I wanted to be honest, and I thought... Anyways, Paul points out the machines that he recognizes and tells me what they are used for. I knew that it was a cat. Like, the basic shaping of it does resemble a cat. We end up blanking off a couple of students who are in there to work on their own projects, but otherwise it's a nice relaxing afternoon in this warehouse. I've been so distracted with this issue of tiny things being wrong that I haven't even planning my attack on Tyler. Seeing as I don't really have much to contribute, I doubt our team meeting tonight will end up being very long. Gus is the only one in the room when I enter. He waves to me, pulling out a chair next to him at the table. Hey there, Jacqueline. Have a good productive day today? Well, it was certainly one of those two things at least. I guess that most days are either one or the other, so you decide to switch your colour up. Huh? What do you mean? Your hair. Personally, I thought the blue looked good on you last night, but ultimately you're the best judge of your own look. What? But we didn't change our hair blue. Mitch nods his hair as he walks in. Yeah, that's right, but red looks good on you too, you know. Mitch's body almost seems to move backwards as he backpedals. Well, I'm not trying to hit you or anything. No, not that you won't do anything. Well, Gus attempts to calm Mitch down after his flux pass. I reach up and touch my dyed strand of hair, pulling it down in front of my eyes. It's red. I'd chosen it specifically yesterday. Hell, I even had that weird foggy vision thing happen before I did. But both Mitch and Gus seem to remember that it had been blue before now. Oh God. I grip the sides of my chair, trying to keep my breathing in check. It's not just me seeing differences now. Other people are noticing something different about me. But I've had this dye job since I woke up. I have no memory of changing it. Could I have forgotten? But that would mean that I'm a lot worse off than I thought. Sheesh, what is happening to me? Nothing is happening to you. It's just different dimensions intertwining. Jacqueline? Are you feeling okay? You look sick. I do feel sick all of a sudden. Sorry, guys. You're going to have the meeting without me. Well, I don't know if there's much of a point without you here. I stand up, staggering over to the door, leaning on the furniture to keep myself from falling over. Our vision should be blurry at this point. I pass the secretary in the doorway, who turns around to look at me with surprised eyes. All of them are looking at me like that, in fact. Just talk about what you've done for the day. We'll pick up tomorrow. Afraid I'm about to start hyperventilating, I rush down the hallway as fast as my legs could take me. And panic. I need to not panic. Weird stuff has been happening to me all day, but it's possible that this is only a temporary problem. Maybe I'll go to bed and wake up with everything making sense again. The prediction seems pretty pathetic even as I think about it. But the truth is that I've had more than I can handle today. Despite it being several hours before my bedtime, I take some medicine and hide myself under the covers of my bed. Tomorrow, I'll sort it all out by tomorrow. I spend a long time trying to think of anything else at all until I finally drift off to sleep. In this crazy, bizarre universe again. This same dream sequence. Oh God, it's the same dream as last night. I'm zooming through some sort of cosmic landscape again. The colours and lights rushing past me at an alarming rate. Is this it? A repeating dream as the first sign that there's something wrong with my head after all. And there's another figurine. It's probably us, actually. Just like last time, I feel something physical push past me, spinning me around. However, yeah, it does seem a bit slower, because last time it was like only 1 or 2 frames. However, the speed seems just a bit slower than before. And I catch a brief glimpse of the object before it zooms away. What's that? No. It can't be. Can it? It's you. Or another you. The motion and colour fade, and I felt unconscious once again. Here we go again. Day 3. Another switch. This time we're back on the original timeline. Nothing really. Coming out of my slumber with a screeching racket from my phone as soon as I quickly touched the snooze button. I rub my eyes and sit up, looking around my room with a critical but blurry gaze. The room looks just about the same as it did yesterday, but for some reason the voice in the back of my head isn't nagging me about something being wrong. Has everything gone back to normal? Something occurs to me, and I snatch my phone, pulling up my photo gallery. I think I have one or two pictures of my friends on here. Yes, here we are. Oh, that is cute. That is a cute photo, I'm not gonna lie. Here we are. I take a good look at Paul and June posing in front of a fountain. Paul with his glasses and June with her blue eyes. As a blanket of relief drapes over me, so everything has gone back to normal, has it? I spent the entire day yesterday worrying about whether I was going crazy or not, and now I get to say that I'm definitely sane. Well, at least for now. Part of me wants to believe that all of yesterday was nothing but a dream, but a quick check verifies that today is Friday, which means we jumped from Wednesday to Friday. Whatever happened to me took up the full 24 hours, but it felt like it did. I wanted to give in to the tempting belief that the problem is over. I had one weird day, but from now on, everything is going to be exactly like it was before. It would certainly be a relief if that winds up being the case, but things could get very complicated, very fast if I'm wrong. I hear a soft knock on my door. At least this time I'm not so wound up that it makes my heart leap into my throat. Yes, come in. Hi there, Evina carefully opens the door and steps into my bedroom. I've tried to suppress a blush as I realise I've just given my roommate her first unfiltered view of the unsightly mess I live in. Considering how put together and rigid she usually is, it's not exactly the impression I wanted to make. Good morning, Miss Shields. I want to apologise for how little we have talked since I moved in. I've been uncommonly busy with adapting to a new place and the amount of homework that I've been given. Oh, that's right, Ivana. I was pretty frazzled during my first semester too, so I don't blame you. Still, it's been rude of me to be so absent. I was hoping that you might join me for breakfast. Perhaps we can start to get to know each other a little bit better. Now that the door to my room is open, the scent of the breakfast that Ivana's been making is drifting in. The lead ball in my stomach tells me that I'm famished. That would be great. You're too kind. Not at all, Miss Shields. And call me Jackie. You would be helping me in any case. I still have a habit of cooking more food than I'm able to eat by myself. Poor portioning. I could definitely help you with that. Oh, and you could call me Jackie. No need to be so formal. I will try to remember that. It's reassuring to see Ivana's kind face. Just another sign that things have gone back to normal after yesterday's crazy experience. Not that crazy, just minorly different. But different enough to be able to recognize the differences. My stomach clenches like a fist with hunger. Okay, food first, then classes after that. Maybe I can start to figure out what's happening to me. Hello to wait, that lecture didn't make any sense at all. What do you mean? Okay. Let me see if I've got this straight. So Jesus' main deal is that he wants to cleanse mankind of evil, right? Something like that, yes. And to do that, he dies for our sins, and that death is the thing that cleanses everyone else. That pretty much sums up Christianity. But then, after only 3 days, he comes back to life, right? Doesn't that sort of undo the thing that was supposed to fix us? Well, the resurrection is part of the point of the death. And just because he comes back to life doesn't negate the act of dying. All I'm saying is that it seems like a cheat. You can't really be a martyr if you're up and about, walking and talking, can you? Wow, June, I'm impressed. At my expertly crafted argument that destroys the basis of an entire religion. Question mark, okay. Now I'm impressed that you stayed awake long enough to even have this conversation. Hey, I can nap and listen at the same time. I'll have you know that I'm very good at multitasking. Yes, saying a load of BS and smiling at the same time. We laugh as we walk through the square heading towards the campus library. We need to work out a group project on the newest religious topic, although I suspect this one will be fairly easy since we have an actual member of the religion on our team. Or somebody who is acquainted with the religion. Not someone who is like, we sign up here and here, you shall forever be a Christian. We make our own choices by ourselves. I can't help but have a smile on my face. It seems like such a petty thing to be happy about, but seeing my friends without any changes exactly the way I remember them really smooths out the stress that had been tearing me up. Hopefully I can put all this weirdness behind me from now on. So then, Jackie, have you changed your mind yet? About Blitz Strike, I'm telling you. Once you really get in there and give it a chance, you can have the time of your life blasting up pseudo-zombies, even if the game itself is pretty lackluster. I'm not sure what you... She must be able to see the blank and confused look on my face. She crosses her arms. You feeling okay? I know you were a bit scatterbrained yesterday, but I figured that was a one-day thing. I'm talking about when you saved my bacon yesterday afternoon, remember? You ditched Paul to help me out. No, I remember helping Paul out. Oh, goodness sakes. Should we alternate between the different dimensions? Should we only ever pick one person per dimension? Like, for example, picking Paul in this dimension, the red dimension, and then in the blue dimension, pick June. Not that it was a big deal, of course. Like I said, it wasn't that important. I try to keep my face from projecting horror as my mind races back behind the scenes. The dread that I've been feeling comes back even stronger now. No, this is supposed to be when everything goes back to normal for me. All the little differences are gone now, so why is my brain contradicting reality? Even though there had been all those little changes, I know what I did yesterday. I went to Paul to his hobby space with all the carpentry tools. He showed me the malformed little cat that he made. We wandered around the warehouse for a while. Those memories can't be fake, can they? It's just not that either. You seem really indecisive about your hair colour too. Well, that's less of a problem, don't you think? If she likes red better than blue, that's her business. Sure, but she usually is a lot more straightforward than that. Haven't you noticed? Once she picks something, she sticks to it. I reach up with my slightly shaking fingers and touch the strands of dyed hair against my forehead. Yes, Gus and Mitch had said that they remembered my hair being blue, and now my friends are saying the same thing today. They didn't mention anything like that yesterday. Wait, no, they couldn't have. Could they? I dyed my hair Wednesday night. They hadn't seen it until yesterday morning. I drew in a quick breath, putting a smile on my face. Both of you are worrying too much. My mind was just on my other class projects. I definitely remember helping June yesterday. And I switched up my hair colours and decided which one I liked the best. Both my friends are still staring at me with concern, but my calm smile eventually seems to satisfy them. Just let us know if there's anything wrong. Okay, Jackie? Yeah, definitely. We're here if you want to talk. Thanks, guys. But for now, I think we should focus on the project, okay? I was kind of hoping we could use your spotty memory as an excuse to cancel for today. These projects are such a drag. I don't know. I sort of like looking into our differing experiences with religions we come across. I'm starting to think that you're a little too good to be true. Are you sure you're not a spy set up by Professor Keene in order to grade us for some sort of deep state infiltration? June, do you realize that Paul's work ethic is the only reason the two of us are passing this class, right? Hey, I'm not saying I'm ungrateful, but it's either that or Paul is a shape-shifting alien who hasn't quite gotten his human act down yet, and that's a little too cliche for my tastes. Come on now, try to be a little bit more friendly. I grin and shake my head. Meanwhile, my brain's processes and still trying to figure out what's happening to me. Now I have 2 days in a row with inconsistencies. But first they had small details of other people that were different, and now today it's my memories of what I did yesterday that aren't matching up. There's still a chance that this is a one-time thing, that from now on everything will start to make sense again. But I'm not sure I have the mental fortitude to keep going if it doesn't. I glance up ahead to where June and Paul are still chatting with each other amicably. I'm so used to handling my problems alone, more due to my lack of personal connections from the past few years. I've been trying not to dump my personal life on my new friends, but this one might be too much for me to handle by myself. Maybe they can help me figure out what's happening to me. Will they even believe such a crazy theory without wondering whether I need some serious mental help? No. I thought he was going into the hypothetical route of maybe there are two of you. Besides, I'm not sure if I want to tell both of them about it. While they're both my friends, it's been clear to me for a while which one of them I trust more. The person I can talk to freely, who will probably be willing to see me through this awful mess. And the person who I find myself looking at longer. And, well, those feelings aren't really important right now. I'm going to ask one of them to help after our project is done today. And now this again. And then there it is again. The strange sensation of time sliding to a halt as I'm about to make a choice. I glance around. Refractions. Choices. Consequences. Perception. Noting the stationary figures standing all around me. Is this weird haze related to the other things that are happening to me? Or is it something entirely separate? Looking out into the distance, it almost looks like the clouds are forming shapes on their own, of objects that aren't there, but I can't really make out what they might be. For now, I just need to go along with it. Who do I talk about what's happening to me? Of course it will be Paul. Just gotta remember in the other dimension to pick June. I catch Paul's attention as we're leaving the library. Our project is finished for the day. Hey Paul, I was wondering if we could talk for a bit. Of course, what is it? I glance to my right and left, nervous about talking about something that sounds so crazy in the presence of other people. Thankfully, it seems like most of the students have gone home for the day. Come on, let's go and sit by the fountain. It's a bit more private there. That's a great idea. Ugh, this is even harder than I'd imagined it would be. I squirm a bit on the lip of the fountain, trying to figure out how to put my unsettling experiences into words. Paul, of course, just sits there next to me, not saying anything, just waiting for me to speak. Eventually, I managed to start talking about all the little things I'd noticed differently yesterday. About the strange changes in my friends, the fact that Paul hadn't been wearing glasses and didn't seem to think that was any different. About people telling me I'd switched my hair colour despite never changing it. About how I'd woken up today with the decisions I remembered making the day before having been reversed. Once I've got my momentum up, it's pretty easy to just let the words slip out. Desperately wanted to say something, but keeping your mouth shut can do that to you. Throughout it all, Paul remains silent, except to ask a couple of clarifying questions. It feels good to talk about all of this finally, but I also feel a rising sense of panic as I look at his unchanging face. Is he just acting stoic so I can keep talking? Does he already think that I've lost my mind? Or is he going to offer a suggestion? Once I've gotten just about all the changes I've noticed out of my system, Paul takes a moment to pull his glasses off and clean them. As he slips them back on, he turns towards me with a serious expression. Why didn't you mention this sooner? Well, I thought I was going crazy, and I didn't want you to think that I was going crazy too. Paul shakes his head, crossing his arms. I don't think you're crazy. You're far from crazy. Despite the fact that you seem to be experiencing something no one else is noticing, you mentioned a cool head and kept going. That shows strength. I'm not sure I'd classify my near panic attacks as cool-headed. Paul looks off into the distance for a moment, quietly thinking to himself. According to my memory, yesterday you went and helped June with her project in the afternoon. Yet you said that you remember helping me. In that case, what was it that I wanted to show you? I suddenly realised where Paul was going with this, and I snapped my head up excitedly. It was your carpentry station and the carving you were doing. It was hard to figure out what it was that you were making, but you told me that it was supposed to be a cat. Paul's radiant smile fills me with relieved warmth. That's exactly right, and yet I haven't told anyone about that project yet. You know that shouldn't be possible. Whatever's happening here is not just in your head. Before I know it, I have my arms wrapped around Paul's shoulders, giving him a tight squeeze as the tenseness in my muscles flow away. Thank you, Paul. You don't know how much of a relief it is to hear you say that. Paul seems to have gotten a bit stiff. I pull myself back and he blushes. Sorry, you just surprised me is all. Why am I suddenly filled with the urge to hug him again, so that I could just see that display one more time? Ah, Jackie. Anyway, that does solve a major problem, but it also causes a bunch more. What do you mean? I'm a bit too wrapped up in my mental celebration to realise what Paul's talking about, but after a moment of reflection it clicks. Wait, if I'm not crazy, then what I'm seeing is actually happening. The world is actually transforming. Or something is giving me that impression. I don't think you're just seeing things, but I also have to trust my own memory the same amount, and my account conflicts severely with yours. Perhaps you have the ability to see and remember things I don't, or can't. But under that assumption, you have long periods of time with completely false memories. That seems like more than just missing the things I'm noticing. Speaking of which, now that I think about it, you were sort of acting odd yesterday. Odd? Odd how? I mean, it wasn't so obvious at the time, but looking back at it there were some things you said and things you did. Just subtle differences, nothing too weird. Maybe you noticed slight changes in the world as well. I only noticed them in you. Jackie, what if yesterday, somehow, you weren't here? That is indeed correct, Paul. It's another version of Jackie or Jacqueline. I could feel my skin prickling up with a chill as I rubbed my arms. I feel like during the night you need to put a camcorder down in your room just to see if there's any interdimensional changes. What are you talking about? I was here all day yesterday. You were in a place that was almost exactly like here, but with small changes like my glasses, for example. But what if that's separate from the here that we're in right now? The entire world around me being some sort of cheap knockoff reality. Knock-off reality. Like someone had decided to transport me into a movie set in the middle of the night, but hadn't quite gotten all the details of the scenery right. It was a dramatic and unlikely scenario, but those are starting to be the only kinds of scenarios left. I think I understand what you mean, even if I don't really understand how it's possible. But that's even more worrisome. If you weren't here yesterday... Paul frowns, a look of puzzled and rising fear on his face. If you weren't here, then who was it that I talked to yesterday? Who was the Jackie that I met with? That is indeed a very, very deep question. I'm the first one in the meeting room today. I don't normally come this early, but after my talk with Paul, I can't really think of anywhere else to go. There are too many thoughts swirling around my head to be adding others to the mix. At least I know I'm not going crazy now, but that's not much of a comfort compared to the things I now have to face. Paul is right. If I did go someplace else yesterday, then who was it that stood in for me while I was gone? The idea of a person being able to impersonate me so well is frankly terrifying. It's like I now have some kind of evil twin I have to look out for or something. And if it happens again, can I really trust that this doppelganger isn't going to do something to ruin my life while I'm away? Too many questions, and no recourse for answering them. I'm grateful for the distraction when Mitch comes into the room. Hey Jacqueline, you're here early. You can just use Jackie. Man, and yeah, I got my stuff done a lot earlier than usual. Mitch gives me an odd look that I can't interpret, then shrugs his shoulders and sits next to me. By the way, I wanted to thank you for yesterday. Oh great, what had I done yesterday? Which part? You know, the pep talk you gave me. Well, I think it was a pep talk, or maybe an instructional lecture, or... Well, that's not important. I thought about what you said, and you're definitely right. You think so? Yeah, at first I wasn't really sure about it. But then I thought about everything that President Taylor. He really isn't going to get in trouble unless we step up to the plate. I promise I'll do whatever it takes, just like you said. I nod my head absent-mindedly, trying to give him the best smile I could muster. With all the weird stuff happening in my life, the story of misconduct I've been chasing for so long seems like some sort of distant concern now. It's hard to focus on being a reporter when my mind feels like it's twisting itself apart. But no, I can't have that attitude. Real people have gone through real suffering at Taylor's, and it's up to us to get them the justice they deserve. I look down at the bump of my right hand. All the worries about mysterious changes in the world and mismatching events get pushed into the background by a sudden influx of memories. The door opens and I come out of my stupor. It's the secretary. Sheesh, why can't I never remember his name right? Was it Spencer? Spencer seems so right. Wasn't it Alex or something like that yesterday? He's carrying a small cardboard box and I feel the ripple of weight pass through the table as he plops it down. Whoa, what have you got there? Spencer, it's the surveillance equipment you wanted. Wait, surveillance? Gus appears in the doorway, walking over to the box and opening it up. Oh yeah, here they are. Honestly, but I'm sort of surprised that you managed to get them so fast. It's what I do. The secretary just shrugs, looking blank as always as he slips down into his chair. Gus sits down next to him. My curiosity causes me to lean forward and peek inside the box. Besides a few metallic structures I figure are the computer parts of the operation, the box is packed tightly with what appears to be small plastic bags. I pull one out, inspecting it closely. It's almost imperceptible, but I can see a tiny grey circle along with some raised dots inside. Wow, I've never seen any so small and subtle before. You must have a lot of owed favours down in the engineering department, Benny. Benny, that's his name! No wait, that doesn't sound right at all. Is Gus just using a random name he came up with? Secretary doesn't seem to react to his misomia, just nodding his head again. This is just perfect. There's no way that President Taylor can get away with it now. Wait, what do you mean? We're talking about the plan you came up with last night. Like I said, it's bolder than I expected, but it will probably be effective. Last night I came into my room, freaked out when people thought I changed my hair colour then left. At least that's what I remember happening, but apparently this team has a different story. I can't exactly ask them what my own plan is, but luckily Mitch's exuberance is on my side. I've really come around to the idea we can't locate the files on need unless we can be sure we'll have a long period of search time. It's a bit of an invasion of privacy, but it's not like he deserves privacy after what he did. Sheesh, the other version of me apparently proposed a plan while I was away. A plan to bug President Taylor's office to keep surveillance on him so that getting the files would be easier. I've always thought that reporters sometimes needs to bend the rules a little in order to seek out for the greater good. But this is a bit beyond even what I would have normally considered. What exactly was the other me thinking? Like, look, I'm all for taking Taylor down, but this kind of thing could be dangerous. We're breaking the law in a real way, and if we get caught... We're not going to get caught. They're way too tiny to find once we place them. Besides, getting justice is more important than obeying every letter of the law. The two of them then turned towards me, the de facto leader of our little group. Mitch is a good assistant and trainee. Gus is helpful resources, and the secretary keeps us organized and on track. But if we're talking about the passion of a project, the real drive behind taking Taylor down, then everyone knows I'm the center of it. I'm the one who makes the plans for flushing out the story, and I'm the one who cares the most. Probably a little too much. What should I do? Hidden cameras or listening devices will definitely help our cause. But is it crossing over a line that we shouldn't be crossing? We're gonna stick with a plan. We'll plant the bugs as soon as possible. Mitch has a stupid grin on his face. Gus sighs but nods his head. Alright, how are we going to get them planted anyway? The bomb has been planted. I racked my brain for a second, hoping that they all didn't notice I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. Doesn't the university board have an event tomorrow? I believe so, celebrating a famous Amelie who passed away or something. Out of mine. However you pronounce that name. If we pretend that we're there to write a reporting assignment on the event, we should be able to get in. Then we just have to look for an opportunity to slip away into the higher offices. Oh, that sounds fun. I want to do it. Sorry, Mitch, but I don't think that will work. Undergraduates don't usually get to report on whatever events they want. Only grad students get that chance. Could you do it then? Well, it would be pretty risky. But I have to admit that the little boy inside of me can't help but get excited at a chance to do something like a spy in a movie. Consider it done. Yeah, boys. And now, what is it that they say? The first time is an accident. The second time is a coincidence. The third time is a pattern. I look around at the lights swirl around me, trying to distinguish anything recognizable in the mad rush. I haven't mentioned these dreams to Paul yet, mostly because weird dreams aren't exactly a check on the side of mental stability. However, after our conversation, it's starting to feel like it has something to do with why the world is changing. And there it is again. As usual, about halfway through the journey, I feel something bump into me. It's another version of ourselves. We should look into the mirror sometime. And this has only happened after looking in the mirror on that very day, having the choice between red or blue. But if you merge them together, you make purple. My favourite colour. However, the movement is again slower than it was the previous night. And this time I catch a good glimpse of the object. Another version of ourselves. It can't be real, can it? It is indeed real. It's another version of you. My entire body flashes cold as I stare into the eyes of someone who lives exactly like me. I've seen that face before in mirrors, pictures, videos, but having it standing as an entirely separate being's body is a situation I never imagined being in. Hell, it's even wearing the same clothing as me. The only major difference I can discern is the colour of the stripe in her hair, the other shade I'd been considering. The creature looks like it wants to say something, and I see it mouth moving, but our speeds are too quick and the voice is lost in the distance. I turn my eyes back towards the direction I'm heading. I may not be able to stop it, but at least I'll know where I am when I wake up. In the other dimension. Day 4. Joink! 2 different dimensions. A pattern is occurring, yes. Meh. This time my expectation instantly forced me wide awake. Have I been transported to another world again? I quickly reached for my phone to mute the alarm, noticing a couple of new text messages. I flipped them aside. Pulling up my camera app, I navigate through the photos I've taken. The photo I'd looked at yesterday isn't there, but the others all show June with green eyes and Paul without glasses. I really have travelled back to this place, huh? Not only that, I wince as I picture the other me I passed by in my dream. This must be her version of the universe. We seem to be trading places with each other each night when we go to bed. But how is that possible and why? I'm not going to give up until I have the answers to those questions, but at the moment there's nothing I can do except get out of bed and put some clothes on. I'm going to need to distinguish between this alternate world and my real world. Letters seem like the easiest distinction. I'll call my real world A and this world B. That's pretty reasonable. Most likely the people in this world wouldn't be very happy to hear that they'd been delegated as Bavarians. But I'm not feeling too bad about the biases right now. I'm halfway through slipping on my pants when something occurs to me. Now that I know that the universe I'm in isn't my own, Why do I have to play it by the rules? After all, nothing I do here is going to affect my life back home, right? But the thing is, right, that version is probably thinking of the same thing, or maybe that version is aware of this happening. So anything that happens here does have a reflection upon the original variant, because when the other one comes back to this world, they'll notice that there are major differences. I could just skip all my classes, go on a road trip and gamble away all my money without any consequences. Don't do that! Well, except for that, for today is Saturday, so I don't have any classes to skip anyway. Remember the 2 texts I ignored earlier? I pulled the first one up on my phone. It's a message from June. She seems like she never got out of her teenage texting phase. Hey, Jacqueline. So I thought of something else about your whole universe hopping thing. Maybe we could meet up later to talk about it. Okay, so she is also one who has just been able to be aware of this matter. So apparently talk to June about it in this universe. Although I guess it's your still hopping universes, but this is a different Jacqueline. I frown looking at the sender again to make sure that I'm not seeing things. June knows about my alternate dimensions problem. Probably mentioned it to Paul yesterday. Maybe the bluehead variant mentioned it to June yesterday. Yesterday I'd been in the other universe, hadn't I? What I did there has no bearing on what happened here. But apparently for me in this universe I chose to do exactly the opposite of what I did. Wait a second. Once a day for the last 3 days I've been able to make a decision. Then this world haze had happened, and the world around me had seemed to slow down to a crawl. I chose to dye my hair red, and the alternative version of me had chosen blue. I chose to help Paul with his project in Universe B, but when I got back to my own universe, I apparently helped June instead. And just yesterday, I'd made a choice about who I trust the most. Over here, the other person had been chosen. 3 decisions, all of which were opposites of each other between the 2 worlds. Is it just a coincidence? Something tells me to check my other text message as I pull it up. Surprisingly, yes, from Gus. I'm in. We'll see if I can get the bugs planted without getting caught. I'll keep you posted. So somebody else must have made that decision rather than us. So the Gus in this universe have been given the go-ahead to try and plant the bugs in President Taylor's office, just like in my universe. This apparently breaks the pattern of opposites I noticed earlier. Then again, I hadn't seen that haze while making that decision last night. Perhaps the haze is an indicator of something different in the decision. Maybe it's not such a good idea to do anything crazy in this universe. Exactly! Don't do that. Just proceed things as normal. And we have some spam on the wall. Aside from the fact that people here exist just as legitimately as the people over there, it's possible that the choices I make here will affect what happens in my universe. Well, each day is Saturday. Normally I'd spend the day working on homework or searching for new leads in my reporting project, but admittedly those feel a little less important, now that I've seen somehow starting teleporting between dimensions. I look down at my phone again and pull up June's sex. Apparently she has some new insights from our conversation last night. A conversation I don't even remember having. I chose to talk to Paul because I felt I could trust him, and, well, because I like him. I could always give him another read in this universe and do a little bit of a catch-up, but what would happen back in Universe A? Maybe it would be better to give June a call, since I've already talked to her over here. And here we go again with the decision making. Here we go again. I'm going to need to pay extra careful attention to what happens after this. Okay folks, we're going to select June in the next time, but this is a very interesting endeavour, and maybe I should go back and alternate the choices I make, so a balance between June and I've forgotten his name now. Oh, goodness sakes. I've forgotten his name. Paul, there we go. So we should actually only select June in this universe and then Paul in the other universe, so that the choices are the same in both universes. So one of them completely reject Paul and the other completely go along with Paul, if that makes sense. So thank you all so much for watching, and see you all in the next time of Refraction. Have a lovely day, folks, and take care of yourselves.